I've grown up in a family that considers optimism to be a virtue, especially my dad. When I was in the fifth grade, he gave his own speech on the importance of optimism. He still repeats the opening phrase despite annoyance, whatever relevance. Think the best, accept the best. So my whole life I've always considered myself an optimist. I was raised in an environment that promoted optimism, convinced me that I was one. Whenever prompted, I said the class was horrible, and I guess I would turn less lemons to admit it. It wasn't until I reached the seventh grade that I started to realize my actions didn't reflect my mindset. Whenever I get a bad grade, I wasn't thinking I would do better next time. Instead, I was stuck in a place where all I could think about was how my average is going to fall. I wouldn't be able to get back up again. This framed my repeated self, in everything from my relationships to my extracurriculars. It seemed I could find negative in everything I participated in. Everything about me was becoming more notably cynical and negative. Any small inconvenience became the pain of my existence. The worst thing visible until another small problem occurred. And even worse, I found myself focusing on the negatives more and more than on the positive. After a while, I wasn't even sure what it meant to be an optimist anymore. After all, my whole life I had believed and proclaimed I was one. But now I realized I hadn't really practiced the characteristics that I still claimed to value. It was becoming more and more evident through my actions. And I started to think, what does it mean to be an optimist? Optimism is a hopefulness and confidence about the future or the successful outcome of a situation. The trait is often used as a synonym for happiness, but that's not really true. You don't always have to be happy to be an optimist, and being an optimist doesn't always mean you're happy, through the two is closely related. Optimism, more than just being positive, is having a bright outlook on your future and striving to do whatever you can to make your situation better. You can be upset and realize there's something went wrong, but still believe that it will get better, that you can make your situation better. If it's that's okay, if optimists are more willing to better their situation and believe they can achieve, if they take action to fix it, that generally makes them more successful in life. A study by Harvard Business Review found that optimists are usually more confident, more committed, and more inclined to work hard to reach their goals. They are the ones to get the farthest in life and usually end up the most content. So we should all want to be optimists, right? But the fact is we aren't. Is that because we choose not to be? Or because we just don't have enough? Is it a choice or an inherent characteristic? What makes someone an optimist in the first place? It turns out it's a mixture of a few different concepts. The first one we usually jump to is environment, and it makes sense why. We know that the way we dream makes us more inclined to behave one way or another. If you're raised in an environment that's more positive and open, you're more likely to reflect those characteristics. If you're raised in a dysfunctional home, optimism may not be your frame of mind. But it's not the end all be all. Genetics also plays a role in whether you're optimist or pessimist. A study by King's College found that the genetic material on a specific receptor gene can actually influence these traits. The material that received indicates whether or not you'll be more naturally positive or negative. But the study included that genetic only accounts for a small portion of what makes someone an optimist. It turns out that the main and dominant factor of optimism is your individual choice. Research confirms that you can get to choose your response in a situation and how it will affect you from there. You get to choose whether or not to be positive or negative in any given scenario. Overriding predetermined causes from environment to genetics or everything else, you aren't attached to the natural inclination of optimism or pessimism you have from birth. Optimism can be a learned trait. Focusing on the positives and working to better yourself and your situation can make you an optimist, even if you're naturally more negative. And the choice of optimism is an important one to make. Why? Give up on the success that comes with being optimistic because you experience hardships. Optimism is incredibly beneficial towards not just seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. It's an intentional decision to fix the negatives in your life to move on from there. And it's okay to falter. I still find myself focused on everything that's going wrong. It's hard not to. But the difference is that now I realize I can make the conscious choice to recognize the negatives but find the positive solution in any given conflict. If you can reframe your perspective, the rest follows, and it's hard to realize that. But the next time you find yourself stuck in negativity, remember that in the end you can get to choose your response to that situation. Being an optimist means that even if everything falls apart, we can focus on how we're going to pick it up again. Thank you.